Hey everyone, if you have watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I'm a huge fan of GMX, the perpetual crypto exchange that allows for up to 50x leverage, which allows for your account to be liquidated much faster. In this video, I'm gonna show you how you can use the exchange and also how you can stake your GMX on the exchange. It's a little bit tricky, especially if you're new to the space and to layer 2 solutions and overall to the DeFi space. So I wanna do this for beginners. But before we actually start with the process, I want to say that if you don't have any experience with either decentralized exchanges or with trading with leverage, don't do this. There are a lot of risks that are involved with trading with leverage, and I definitely don't recommend it for beginners. But if you have some experience and if you don't want to use a centralized exchange, this video is for you. Also, if you want to know my investment thesis for GMX, make sure to check my research that I have in a separate video. I think it will be very useful also to understand what is all behind this exchange and why do I believe it has a bright future in the coming years. Okay, that's enough for my self-promotion and my disclaimers. Let's jump right into this. And first, obviously, this is the interface, and I think it's a very nice looking interface. You have a little chart here. You have the daily, the 4-hour and the 1-hour, but of course you shouldn't be doing your charting here. You should have a trading view or whatever charting software you prefer to decide on your entry triggers. But I just really like the layouts of the exchange, and I think it's very easy and very intuitive. However, before we get into actual trades and swaps that you can use here, of course you need to bring some assets over to Arbitrum, and Arbitrum is a layer 2 solution for Ethereum, and it's actually one of the biggest ones out there. And you need to use you have two options. You need to either use a bridge or you can use a centralized exchange. Arbitrum themselves have a bridge, and if you don't know how to use it, let me show you. So first, if you don't have it on your MetaMask, you need a MetaMask, of course, and you need to add the Arbitrum network to your MetaMask. And if you go to this bridge.arbitrum.io, make sure you bookmark all of the websites here, because you don't want to get scammed from Googling this every time and maybe a scammer has a similar ranking website. So you need to connect your wallet, and once you have done this, here on the top you can choose between a mainnet and Arbitrum. And if you do this real quick, after you have already connected to your wallet, you'll have a prompt here, and the website will add Arbitrum automatically to your MetaMask. You just need to approve it, obviously. And actually, this brings me to the first and very important point. Even if you don't trade the Ethereum itself, or you decide to use, let's say, USDC, you always need to have at least some Ethereum in your Arbitrum wallet for all the fees that will occur. These are pretty much gas fees. However, they're very much cheaper than the mainnet of Ethereum, and that is actually one of the biggest benefits of Arbitrum One. So once you enter your amount, you will get a prompt on your MetaMask. You need to pay the gas fees. Here you can actually see the estimate of the gas fees and how much you will receive in your wallet. But also you can do this for another token. So let's say I want to use directly USDC, which, by the way, I will still need to buy some Ethereum, as I mentioned. And this is USDC. And if I want to have, let's say, $200 that I want to transfer to Arbitrum, again, it gives me an estimate of my gas that I'm going to pay and how much I have currently in my USDC balance on Arbitrum, and also my Ethereum balance here, just because of the gas fees, as I mentioned. And if I click move to Arbitrum One, you will have this prompt window. I need to switch the network, obviously. You might have to pay some first time approval fees. And if I pay the approval fees, again, MetaMask will connect. It will tell me how much gas I will have to pay. Then I click confirm, and now you just wait for the funds to move. It will take some time. It's not super slow, but also it's not very fast. So keep this in mind. We have another confirmation here also for the main network gas fee. It's around $4 in this case, so not too high. Once I confirm it, and I have here around 15 minutes remaining. You can do also exactly the same on a bridge of Stargate, for example. I've used both in the past and it doesn't really make much of a difference about the time to move the funds or the gas fees or whatever. So this is one of the ways to transfer some assets to Arbitrum, and another one is actually through an exchange. So for example, if you want to move Ethereum or GMX, which we're gonna do in just a bit, or whatever else from a crypto exchange like Binance, you just need to add to your address book your address on Arbitrum network. So make sure that the execution of the transfer will be on the Arbitrum network, and after some time you will receive the tokens in your MetaMask wallet. Once you have done all of this, now you can connect your wallet here on Arbitrum. And again, if you're not connected to Arbitrum, here you'll get a prompt where it will say switch to Arbitrum, and you have to enable this on the MetaMask extension, and now you can actually start swapping and shorter on longing. And if we just use this function for a simple swap, this is not that different from Uniswap or any other decentralized exchange. It shows you the balance that you have. In this case, we still have $300. The other 200 haven't arrived yet. And you can choose several tokens that you can swap your USDC into. In this case, it's Ethereum. You can choose Bitcoin, which is wrapped Bitcoin. Keep this in mind. Link, Uni, USDT, and so on. These are all assets on the Arbitrum network. So if you just pick an amount, let's say $200, and you review the swap, this will be very fast, actually, much cheaper than the layer 1 on Ethereum. And also here you see the fees that you are going to be paying, which, to be honest, on Arbitrum are quite steep. Actually on GMX, not on Arbitrum. The gas fees are relatively cheap, but GMX is quite expensive compared to something centralized like Binance, for example. I'm not gonna do this swap right now, but I'm pretty sure you get the point. And as you can see, I do have a small ETH balance for the gas fees that I'm going to be needing for different transactions. One of the great functions that GMX has is that you have a limit order. So pretty much here, like a centralized exchange, you can use a limit order to execute whenever Ethereum hits a certain price. This will not always trigger. It really depends on the volatility, on the liquidity, and so on. And here actually on the bottom for swaps, you can see the available liquidity for this specific pair. So definitely keep this in mind, and it's just another feature that I think it's really useful here on GMX. Now, how do you actually go long or short? And it's very simple. Once again, here you can see there's a long or short button, and if you just click on it, you have exactly the same menu. And if you go to a market order, let's use this one for simplicity's sake. Again, you have the number of USDC that you want to invest, and if let's say put $200 again, it will tell you on the leverage that you have chosen. In this case, I have chosen 3x leverage. But as I mentioned, you can go up to 50x leverage, and it will show you how much Ethereum this means you have as an exposure to the market. Obviously, start small, never go like all in on 20 or 30x leverage. But if you want to execute this trade, you first need to enable leverage here, which we're going to do in just a bit. But here below, you'll be able to see, first of all, your entry price, your exit price, your fee to borrow the money that you need for the leverage position. And keep in mind, again, these can pile up, especially if you hold a position for quite a long. The fee here is per hour. So you need to do some calculation if you decide that you want to get into a position which is like a hedge for you and you're planning to hold it for the mid to long term. And you probably also need to be adding some collateral. So if you don't have enough USDC, if you, let's say I decide to invest all my 305 USDC that I currently have, at some point, once the remaining balance runs out, you need to add some more funds to keep the trade open. Otherwise, the system will close it for you. And one last thing that I wanted to show you here is the available liquidity, which is quite important. And actually yesterday, when I was looking at this, there was no available liquidity for shorting Ethereum. And the main reason for this and for this function here, you can see that we have around 60 million of available liquidity, and current shorts for Ethereum are around 46 million, I would say. So if there are too many people that are going short, you won't be able to enter if the liquidity runs out. And basically this is like a safety feature for the exchange to make sure that if everyone on this short trade is in profit, they will be able to cover all the profitability that is happening. And that is actually something very important for the second step when we discuss about the staking of GMX and making some passive income through there. So let's enable leverage here. We're gonna use, just for simplicity's sake, like 3x on this trade. And if I click enable, I'll have again my MetaMask engaged. I'll have to pay a small gas fee to confirm this. And now, once this is done, I can short Ethereum with my, let's say, $200. And I'll have almost half an Ethereum exposure at the price that I'm buying currently, which is this one. This will be my fee to open the position. And again, this is something very important. This will be my liquidation price. So if Ethereum gets to 1600, I will be liquidated and I can go short. Now I pay the gas fee for the short transaction, which again, as you can see, is quite small. And here on positions, you'll be able to see what is your collateral, what is your entry price, obviously what is your liquidation price. You can close it from here. You can also change your collateral, but this means that I will have less of a leverage in this case, and also my liquidation price will move much higher. I can also do exactly the opposite. I can withdraw, and again, if I give you an example with $100, the exchange will show you how the numbers move, and let's just click withdraw, and again you will engage with your MetaMask. And again, of course, as every decentralized exchange, you need to pay a small portion of a gas fee. And don't forget this when you decide to trade on decentralized exchanges, because people are getting away from centralized exchanges because of everything that's happening with FTX and the FUD surrounding Binance and so on. However, there are a lot of limitations and the fees can start piling up, especially if you're trading with leverage. Keep this in mind. But as you can see, the interface is super simple. I don't think you have difficulties playing with it or understanding how it works. So give it some time, test out several trades if you want to. Use the swap function, which I think it's pretty self-explanatory. And then once you get the hang of it, you can obviously start trading for real. And here actually, if we click on close, this window will pop up. And again, you'll be able to use a trigger, which pretty much is like a limit order, and you'll be able to take profits or use it as a stop loss. But let's just use market in this case, and I want to close the entire position. And here it will give you a summary, how much money will be funded back to your account, what is the slippage, and of course, what are the fees that you're paying. And as you can see on this little trade here, we already paid like $1.50 in different gas fees and fees for the exchange. So as I mentioned, just keep this in mind. Now, if you want to move your assets back from Arbitrum to the mainnet, there are again a couple of ways to do this, and it's pretty much in reverse what we discussed. So first, you can send it to an address on your Binance exchange, but make sure this is on Arbitrum. And I think this is the fastest and easiest way to cash out, because if you use a bridge, this will take a while. You have to pay again the gas fees, and ultimately the money will be still in your MetaMask wallet. So if you want to cash out and have it in your bank account, this means that again you have to send it to a centralized exchange, and again you have to pay transaction fees and so on and so on. So just keep this in mind. There are additional hurdles to overcome if you decide to use a decentralized exchange, but of course it has its own benefits with the reduced risk when it comes to centralized exchanges and so on. There's another cool feature here on GMX that I also wanted to cover, which is the ability to stake your GMX or GLP if you decide to become a liquidity provider. And let's quickly just explain what is GLP. Basically, this is a pool of different tokens that I can show you right here. When you go to the dashboard, GLP is pretty much a sum of all of these tokens that you can trade on the exchange. And there's different weighting here that you can see. It's kind of variable, but mostly they try to have a lot of USDC and Ethereum, because these are the couple of coins that are mostly traded on GMX. And if you buy GLP, basically you're buying a weighted average of these coins here. However, if a lot of traders are winning, and this brings us back to the available liquidity, if a lot of traders are winning their trades, they're paid out of the GLP liquidity pool, which means that at some point, if an exchange starts losing money, you will also be losing money if you hold and stake GLP. However, this hasn't been the case with GMX for now, and actually the last time I was looking at these numbers, they're still increasing. I haven't seen many consecutive days or weeks where the GLP token pool was actually decreasing, which is quite normal. The house always wins. I want to quickly show you how to stake your GMX or GLP and actually earn part of all the fees that are collected on GMX. So all the fees that I just paid for the transactions that I made, you can earn a portion of them if you're staking GMX or GLP. And in the case of GMX, you're earning around 30% of the fees. And in the case for GLP, because there's a lot more risk involved, they are paying out around 70% of the fees collected on the exchange, which I think is really cool. And here you can see that the APR is paid in Ethereum and it's currently 20%, which is quite high. But even for GMX, right here you have paid in Ethereum around 5.5%. So I think this is a really cool mechanism to give you a real yield in Ethereum and not in some magical token that could be inflated forever and ever. And staking actually is pretty simple. And if we go first to GLP, you need to buy some GLP, and the only way you can do it is through this dashboard here. And if you have some Ethereum, or in this case I have more USDC, I can buy some GLP and later stake it from the dashboard. However, I do want to show you how you can do this for GMX, because personally I'm holding GMX. I'm not planning to stake GLP just because I'm not a huge believer into yields in general and I like to have full control of my assets. But let me show you how you can stake and unstake GMX. Actually, here you can see I already have staked like 2 GMX, and if you want to unstake it, it's very simple. You just click unstake. You provide the amount that you want to unstake. In this case, let's unstake the full amount. I click unstake. Again, MetaMask will be engaged. I will have to pay a small gas fee. And once I confirm this transaction, I will be able to see the GMX token back in my MetaMask. And now if I want to do the exact opposite and stake some GMX, first I need to buy some GMX. And I don't know why, to be honest, but you cannot buy GMX on their platform like you can do with GLP. And if you click here on buy GMX, it will send you to either Uniswap or other decentralized exchange, or potentially Binance or some other centralized exchange. First, let's go to Uniswap and show you how this is done there. Obviously, again, you need to connect to Arbitrum with your wallet. And let's say I want to use my USDC to buy some GMX. And if I click here $500, it will fetch me the best price. And I will be able to swap this. Keep in mind that sometimes there's not enough liquidity on Uniswap for GMX, but now this is not the case. And if you go to swap, again, as every decentralized exchange, it will execute this. Another option, which I personally prefer, is to go to Binance and buy GMX there. And then once you have a whitelisted address on Arbitrum, you can withdraw your assets to that address and it will have exactly the same effect. However, you have to jump a little bit less hurdles to get to the staking window, which is right here. And if we just now want to stake our assets, you just click stake. In this case, I have around 7 GMX on my account right here. And if I click max and I want to stake it, again, I'll have my MetaMask pop up here and I can confirm this transaction, and voila, that would be it. And now I will be earning some Ethereum and some escrowed GMX, which pretty much, it's very complicated, but if you unstake it, you have to vest it for a year and then it turns into GMX. So that's why I haven't mentioned it in this video, but you'll be earning around 5.5% Ethereum per year. And keep in mind something important, the APR is constantly changing and constantly updating. I have seen this being like 20%, I have seen it being less. So just keep this in mind. It's almost impossible to calculate how much money you'll be actually making if you stake GMX for a year or two. But still, if you decide to go down that road, I hope this video was useful and you feel more confident and more familiar with the platform. And of course, if you have any questions about GMX or Arbitrum, let me know in the comments down below. That's everything for this video. If you have found something useful, make sure to subscribe, to like, and as always, I'm gonna see you in the next one.